Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in Waterdeep, War of the Spark. Today is January 21st, 2020, also known as National Hug Day, and you are loved. I know, LB, you're having a difficult time as Ghost giving hugs to people. I experienced that when you were Ghost at Gen Con, but it's okay. Things that I would like to start off the stream by saying. 1, Cleggan, thank you for the Twitch subscription. We also had a pretty intense hype train yesterday. So, Jordan with a PH silent, thank you for the monthly sub. Koss, thank you for gifting 5 subs, as well as subbing yourself, as well as donating 1,500 biddies to the channel. BlinkDog182, thank you for the 800 bits. JD Lady gave out 6 gift subs yesterday, as well as donated 200 biddies. And Levi Phipps, thank you for the 2 gift subs, as well as the 10,000 biddies. You have thrown your bits to the Twitcher in this valley of plenty.
It was 1,000.
It was 1,000.
You said 10,000.
10,000. My bad. 1,000. Levi, it's still appreciated. So, thank you to all. And GB, would you like to show what happens when people sub or followed while you're here?
If I'm on the channel, I take this maul and I hit that guy in the face. In this case, it's gonna be a lot.
It's like New Year's. I want to hear that at New Year's. That's good. So thank you to everybody who subbed, gave out subs. It was super cool. I really do appreciate it. Speaking of other things that I appreciate, hey, guess what? We upload all of our videos on to youtube.com/indooradventures. So if this is your first time checking out the stream, consider going there to watch all of our VODs. We also have our audio cast everywhere that podcasts are available for free. Other than that, we also have our merch store. So if you go to indooradventure.redbubble.com, you can get yourself some nice merchandise, including posters, t-shirts, mugs, pants, shower curtains, and throw pillows. We have all sorts of stuff there, so consider going and checking that out. There are a bunch of designs by your very own Danae Keener of DanaeKeener.com. So that's another way that you can help support the show. Other ways, of course, of supporting the show, we have a Patreon set up. So if you go to patreon.com/indooradventures, you can also sign up for our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from each other, but also from the community. It also gets you access to our Discord, which, of course, there's no barrier for joining our Discord. The link is found either below in this video, this audio cast, so I don't need to point for that, or if you look at it's that way, the Twitch chat, we oft post there as well. And then finally, one last thing before we get into the meat and taters of our game. We got a giveaway going on. There's only 9 more days left in the giveaway, so maybe tell your friends about it or enter it for yourself. We got the Descent into Avernus Collector's Edition with the dice that are fairly beautiful. There's also a map to Avernus in there and info cards for a majority of the devils. I have one of those myself, and my map of Avernus is somewhere in my house. And other than that, we also have the Tyranny of Dragons book that you could possibly win, which is the Horde of the Dragon Queen and the Rise of Tiamat rebound in a single adventure. It's rather quite wonderful. Praise Queen. So, now that that is all out of the way, hey RJ, who are you playing tonight?
Hey everybody, I'm RJ here on the channel, and tonight I'll be playing Hubris, the Tiefling Sorcerer Warlock.
We're just gonna go.
Yeah.
I'm Greybeard, Greybeard's Tavern, and I'm gonna play KRONK GOREBLAST.
Hi, I'm LB of LBHackEmUp, and I'll be playing Ghost, the Shifter Blood Hunter Cleric.
I'm Wings, also known as Danae Keener. I'm going to be playing Dakka, the Centaur Barbarian Rogue.
And I am the Indoor Adventurer, and tonight I shall be your Dungeon Master. So, last we left off, we started off in the mean streets of Waterdeep. However, these streets had thusly been cleaned up to some extent, as the majority of the threats from Waterdeep Dragon Heist had actually been removed thanks to our very own Phantom 4. Now, once your group had gotten to a certain point, you all had you all kind of went your separate ways. Hubris, you went looking for your sister. Ghost, you decided to stay and remain as a head of the Zentarum. And KRONK, you decided to stay and remain friends with Ghost, but you were offered a spot on Force Grey, the kind of more mercenary style Avengers heroes of the Forgotten Realms. However, Hubris, you were able to track down your sister, and after she had been kidnapped right before your very eyes, were able to track her down a second time, this time to the city plain of Ravnica. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Ravnica, think Coruscant of the D&D universe. Now, you were able to actually go to this new area. You were able to go to Waterdeep at no small expense of your own. It actually took the majority of your collected funding to go to this new location. And upon arrival, you appeared in what was known colloquially as the Rubble Belt. This is a stretch of the city that has been left in disarray and reclaimed by not only dust, but also the Groll, a more savage and primal group of peoples that live out in the Rubble Belt, as well as another area also known as the Stomping Grounds. And where the Groll are, there is very little city activity. Your group appeared there, and after having gazed around for a brief moment, you were met by the Centaur Barbarian Rogue known as Dakka. Dakka then agreed to take you all into the city proper, and we left off last time after you guys had defeated a Stage 3 Crassus in the Transguild Promenade, staring around, looking at all of the new fashions and creatures, and the city itself is before you. Now, I believe there was talks last time about trying to find a tavern or a bar. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm on board for that.
Yes.
Okay, so at this point, Dakka, you know that there are several, it's a big city. There are bars everywhere. However, at this point, you only know of maybe a handful of bars that can accommodate creatures of both your and KRONK's size. So you decide to take your party members to a bar called the Tin Can. It is located on Tin Street. It is actually it's frequented by the Crack Clan, which is more goblinoid in their nature, but it's also welcome to a lot of the lower end types of society. So Groll are welcome there, which is always a plus for you. So the lot of you are making your way to the Tin Can. You know that it's going to be roughly about 20 minutes or so. Is there anything that you guys would like to discuss or take note of as you are walking?
What's the guard presence like here?
Make a perception check.
I'm great at those. 12.
So with a 12, looking around...
18.
Okay. So with a 12 looking around, Hubris, you see that there are, much like in Waterdeep, people just sort of seem to walk around heavily armored, lightly armored, no armor at all. From various walks of life, you sort of take note that the majority of these armored individuals are all sort of... They'll follow behind other individuals wearing significantly less armor, so you're more taking note of a series of retainers. And most of these retainers, the coloration that they have is a very dull gold, a pale silver, whites, blacks. And the helmets that these guards wear just seem to have a large singular pearl that has been embedded into the front, or at least it is pearlescent viewing out. And you are more taking note of these individuals as far as guard presence, because they seem the most guard related. Other than that, you see other individuals that are all wearing roughly the same kind of gear and weaponry, and you assume that those are probably the guards. Now, Ghost, with your 18, as you are looking at these guards as well, you also have this realization that there are a set of retainers here that seem to be following along individuals in front. And the individual in front of this group of the kind of dull gold, pale silver is of darker complexion. Their hair is sort of tied back, and they are walking around the city as if they own the place. They don't seem to necessarily have any kind of... There is, much in the same way that you walk around Waterdeep, this individual is walking around the Transguild Promenade, and people are parting out of their way. And you see that upon their regalia, there is a symbol. And that symbol looks like a sun, but in the center of that sun is just a dark sphere. And that seems to be representative of... and you see that she's wearing it. Those following behind her are wearing it. It seems to be representative of some kind of group. Now, the other thing that you also take notice of is that the other groups that are wearing more armor, that have their weapons kind of at the ready, they are wearing colors of golds, reds, whites, and they have a much more regimented look about it, but it still is a little freeform. You see some are wearing like capes, others wearing half capes. There is actually a Minotaur man that is part of this guard, and he is not wearing a helmet, but just seems to be chatting with a blue-skinned individual who is wearing a very tight piece of headwear. And the sigil that you see on the red and white individuals, as far as coloration goes, looks like a clenched fist, much in the same way that Bane has their symbol being a clenched fist, but you see that there is like a bright sun that is around it. And then the other symbol that you see on this blue-skinned individual, who is wearing very light coloration. They are wearing blues, whites, almost pastel in nature. But the sigil that they wear about them is that of a pyramid that looks like it has a circle in the middle that could almost be an eye. And they're sort of talking amongst themselves. And Dakka, you would recognize these groups. You would recognize the Orzhov being the woman leading the retinue, and then the guards that are talking amongst themselves you recognize as Boros Legionnaires. The Minotaur is known as a Reckoner, and then the blue-skinned individual is known as a Azurius Law Mage. And it seems like their entire retinue, as far as magical abilities are concerned, are that of a more legalistic sense. And you know, Dakka, that these that the Azurius and the Boros, they butt heads about how justice should be brought about, but ultimately they are the lawmen here on Ravnica.
Right. She gives them a wide berth.
Hubris will turn to Dakka. Dakka, what's up with the biggins around here? One's in the fancy armor and gemstone eye.
Gemstone eye? Which one is
Those would be the Orzhov. So Dakka, you know, as your first interaction on this channel as a played character, you were freeing yourself from a debt that had been owed to the Orzhov Guild. You know, however, that Orzhov, they will give out money. They are very prolific moneylenders, but what they often require in trade is time, is servitude, and death doesn't really mean much to them in terms of that. So with these biggins, as Hubris has aptly put, these are what you would know as thralls, or thralls, and they are effectively undead gladiators that have been sworn to protect whoever is in charge of their retinue for ranging anywhere between 25 years to 2,500 years. It doesn't really matter to the Orzhov. It really just depends how big of a debt have you made yourself to them.
All right, I'll explain that to him. The general attitude that she has toward the Orzhov is like cautious, but like it's respect, which is to say that they are the first people that basically showed her that there's more to strength than just like how hard you can swing a sword. That there's strength in money and in secrecy and in the power that you can hold over other people, just like in more ways than just violence.
How do I get to fight one?
Say again?
How do I get to fight one?
Low profile, KRONK.
I
Low
know.
profile.
But those guys, they got armor. They got more armor and flash than me. How would anybody even recognize me?
Well, we need to disguise ourselves, that's for sure, especially since it seems that we are the only ones of our kind here, I assume.
Makes sense.
Let's sit down and get our bearings first, and then we'll figure out what to do from there.
Onward.
Okay. And so Dakka, you take them towards this bar, the Tin Can. And as you are approaching, the lot of you also see that there are like large animals that seem to be companion beasts for individuals wearing green and white, that Dakka would explain are members of the Selesnya Guild. You see creatures doing their best to be dog-like, but it's like a lizard body that has dog-like appendages at the end, but like this deep bulbous cap along the front that just seems to be like this dark splotch that kind of continues down the back. And Dakka, you would point that out and explain that this is the creation of the Simic Guild. It seems very much like one of their... And a member of the Simic Guild is just sort of out and about and has brought their pet along with them. The Simic are responsible for the Crassus that you all fought along your way here, and this is just another one of their more tamed creations.
Almost reflexively, Hubris like steps a little closer to Ghost.
Ghost kind of like shoulder checks him as she walks past him.
Okay. So, you all make your way to the Tin Can, and upon entering, you can see that it is a rowdy bar, to say the least. There are goblinoids and gnomes getting drunk off of who knows what, that all seem to just be having a raucous laugh to themselves off in a corner. And you can see that there are, that as they are dressed, it is a mishmash of blues and reds and long flowing robes on some of the goblinoids and some of the gnomes. And then you can see that other members of these goblinoids are also wearing more greens and reds to kind of signify more that they are members of the Groll. But here in this bar, they are interacting with each other, just sort of bearing into that goblinoid ancestry that they have and letting that proceed more so than their ties to the guild. They are just here to have a good time.
Does anybody in here recognize me?
I would say that the bartender would recognize you at this point. And the bartender themselves are they would be a Minotaur who, again, the Ravnican Minotaur stands a head or so shorter than the Minotaurs that you are used to. And when you appear, Dakka, they just sort of give you a knowing nod and then look at the people that you've brought in. And they actually will approach you at this point and just say, we don't deal with Orzhov. And he makes a head motion towards Ghost.
They're not Orzhov. They're clanless, like me.
And what about this one? It's Rakdos. Are you clanless as well?
Hubris has the half face mask and his hood up.
Okay. Sounds good. So, yeah, he doesn't make the mention of the Rakdos at all. But when you say that they're clanless, he looks at you and just, no trouble.
Of course not.
If you bring trouble into this bar, that is a Scorchbringer. That is a Scorchbringer. I'm not sure what that one is. And he's motioning towards the goblins.
Look, I understand the troubles of running a bar. We have an establishment ourselves elsewhere.
If you want me to bring trouble anywhere, you're gonna have to pay me first.
And figure nods. And kind of motions over Dakka. You know that there are very few tables that you can actually rest at relatively with your centaur body. But you end up being able to find one that has enough room for your friends as well. KRONK, these chairs are not sized for you. They never are. You missed your chair back home. You made it yourself. That one was sized for you.
I'm gonna order my usual, and I'm gonna pass him some extra money, however much you think would be reasonable, and basically say, if anyone asks, they weren't here.
And the bartender, we'll say his name is Leros, and Leros will nod towards you, and he'll take your money. And then he looks at the three of you and asks if you all would like any beverage in particular. He says that they have beer, and a little bit of Selesnian wine, but the Selesnian wine is a tad expensive.
2 ales. What kind of wine is it? Red or white?
I'm fine.
He explains that it is a nice white wine. But when you and he also explains that it is the preferred currency going to be 2 electrum pieces per.
Do we know what electrum is?
You guys would have seen electrum, but he describes them as 2 Zeno.
Fuck.
I look at Dakka.
I look at her.
I pull to the side my money pouch and I open it to her and show that it is gold.
I'm going to snort in a very horse-like fashion, and I'll get out my own money to pay him.
Okay. Yeah, he accepts your pay. And at that just sort of nods and takes his leave to go and fetch you your beverages.
Sorry, Dakka, is there someplace like a currency exchange or what have you?
I don't know. Is there?
So you know that there are effectively 2 different groups that are responsible for the printing and minting of coin, and that is the Azurius and the Orzhov. Now, a Azurius Zeno is the same amount as an Orzhov Zeno. However, depending on who you try and pay, they will likely possibly charge you more, depending. For example, if you try and take your Azurius coin into a Rakdos area of town, they won't take it as readily as they would an Orzhov coin. As far as the currency exchange, Dakka, make an insight check.
Oh boy. I am a professional and I am prepared.
By the way, Stephen, we forgot to talk about how much gold I have on me.
200 each.
200
Okay.
each. Yep.
I got my dice out and then I put them away for some silly reason. All right, here we go.
While we're sitting there, KRONK will elbow Hubris and be like, gnomes. And point out the
12.
gnomes.
Okay, Dakka, you remember that these three promised that they would pay you for bringing you into this, or for bringing them into the city, and you are now realizing that their coin may not actually be good here.
That's very irritating to her. And like, if anyone who's like familiar with like horse body language can tell that she's like starting to swish her tail and like move like from hoof to hoof. And then like everybody who's familiar with human body language like absolutely sees her like quelling rage. And then she like glances at KRONK, and you see her.
What's up?
Your money may not be good here.
Ah, crap.
Wonderful.
Is gold not worth anything here?
Gold is certainly worth something here. It just has to be marked. Unmarked gold probably means that you stole it or made it somewhere else, which, not the best.
People will be suspicious of this.
Do you know any place with a fence then? Someone who would take our illicit goods and basically sell it to them for coin.
This girl is half human, half horse, and half rogue, half barbarian. I think she knows a fence.
She's jumped over a few fences in her time.
Hey, whoa, hey.
Hey, whoa. So Dakka, you would know of a fence within the city. In this case, you would probably end up having to take them to the boiler works, or at least nearish there, as you know that the Izzet aren't necessarily, they don't really care. They see gold and they realize, we could just use this for like capacitors and other things like that. Like, they have more use for the actual metal than it does the value of the coin.
Yeah, I'll explain that to them.
Great.
And where would that be?
Wherever the boiler works are.
Yep. You know that it would be about like a 30-45 minute journey away from where you are. It is it's down 10th Street, back to the Transguild Promenade, and then from there, thankfully the Transguild Promenade is a pretty good meeting point for if you want to go to any variety of guild presence.
Mm-hmm. And like, as we're traveling through the city, if there is a quicker way for people to get there, like via Scott, like is there like any sort of, what's the public transportation like in Ravnica?
The public transportation in Ravnica is going to be that of riding on back of a stomp howler or some other larger beast.
Great. If it is quicker, then I will send them ahead and take the streets myself.
Okay. So as you all are getting ready to try and figure out where best to go, there is I'd like for you all to make perception checks.
19.
19.
Okay.
22.
KRONK.
5.
5, KRONK. You are just like This chair is just so irritating. Like, one of the legs isn't level either, so no matter how you, like, cinch your butt in this seat, it's always just, like...
One cheek, one
You have to
cheek.
have, like, 2 chairs next to each other, one for each ass cheek, because you are such a large individual. And it's just not working. It's very distracting for you. But the...
And there's gnomes.
Yes. But the rest of you see that there is a... While there's all this ruckus happening within the bar itself, there is a figure that seems almost out of place. They are wearing a cloak that Dakka, you know, was not made within the city. It was not made via the Groll. It just seems relatively unfashionable for at least, like, by Ravnican standards. And they have what looked like these kind of nice looking metal bracers that are barely visible underneath this cloak that they're wearing. And they're sort of sitting at their table, and they're drinking to themselves, but they have been looking over at your table for a little bit of time. Hubris, you and Ghost also recognize this individual, and they appear human. And you can see Ghost with your 22 that they have more of a pointed chin, a little bit of a pointier nose. And it looks like a nice set of sideburns underneath along the sides of their face, but you can't actually see the top half as their cloak is sort of casting a bit of a shadow over them. And as you all are you're all talking and kind of wrapping up, figuring out the best way, this figure will finish the drink that they have, set it down, and then speaks to the bartender, points at your table again, and then they begin walking over, and as they do, they take down their hood, and you can see that they have a very kind face. But the look that they have in their eye is that they have seen more in their life than their otherwise young features would be able to properly convey. And they put a hand down onto the table and just say, "Well, hello, out of towners, I'm guessing."
Ghost has sat back in her chair, and she has her arms behind her, like she's leaning back in her chair, but really she has her hands in her gauntlets.
Depends who's asking.
Well, that would be me. I'm asking. And they pull up a chair and swivel it behind, so that way the front... they're sitting on the chair backwards at your table. All right. First of all, I have to ask. Clear the air. Orzhov?
Dakka's
No.
going to casually meander up behind him and just like put her big horse flank on his back. And just kind of stand over him ominously.
Well, hello. You seem awful kind. And this figure has just a very... it's like kind of a lighter brown hair coloration that is in almost like a faux hawk style. Like it's more like peaked up towards the front. And they say, "All right, I'm going to make this simple. I am looking for a friend, and I need some help. And you all
Is this
seem...
a ginger friend?
What?
Sorry.
Ginger?
Flashbacks. Hair
That's-
color.
That's
no,
pretty funny.
I mean, to be honest, they don't really have hair, and it's not really so much as a person as it is really a thing, but I don't think that if you called them a thing that they would take it very kind, so we just default to...
Just get on with what you need to say, sir.
I was supposed to meet someone. I was supposed to meet somebody very important, and they haven't showed up, and I asked those individuals at the table over there if they had seen a thing like my friend, and they... said yes, which I thought was going to be a good, a good tidings, but it turns out that they have, well, captured them. And are doing, well, I don't really want to know what they're doing to them, but Karn is a big, strong golem. I'm sure that he is perfectly capable of taking care of himself.
Hubris leans forward and laces his fingers. And I should care why.
The greater good. Look, the reason that you should care is that there is something that is happening in this city. Something that is not good. Something that I, as well as Karn, and a lot of other good people, are doing our best to stop. And I'm hoping that you all seem like good people too. And so I have a little bit of money, I suppose, that I could help out with. It's not a lot.
A question for you then, sir. If there's a lot of good people here trying to stop something.
Yes.
Is any of them a white devil with horns? She might look like she's part of the Rakdos Guild.
I don't think so. I mean,
Then you've lost my interest, sir.
there's a woman
I
named
rolled a
Tamio.
20 on insight.
He is being upfront and honest.
It's Tuesday. You lost. Is this a golem that you created?
And there is a pause, and they sit a little bit straighter, and they say, if I was the one who created Karn, I wouldn't be in a situation where I have to ask for help. Urza was the greatest wizard that ever existed.
And what happened to Urza?
He became a god. And he fought Yagmoth. And it doesn't matter what happened after that. What matters is I need help. And
Well,
you all
I
seem
appreciate
like
your
you
situation, and I want to know more. Who took him?
Well, according to those individuals over there, and he points to, again, the kind of raucous group of goblins that are goblins and gnomes that are enjoying their beverages, says, as far as I'm aware, it was the Izzet.
Dakka's gonna sniff at him and say, "You're not, is it?"
Oh, no. Guildless. Prefer it that way, honestly. Although, if I was part of a guild, it would probably be the Izzet, but they're just... I disagree. Based on the principle that I don't really plan on staying for a while. Or for very long, I should suppose.
What is your name?
And he extends his hand out towards you. You can call me Venser.
Venson?
Venser. There were those who knew me as a savant, a sojourner, traveler of sorts, go round places like this.
And by this, do you mean this city or this plane?
Oh, do you also hop? It's so much easier if you all hop. Or at
Where are
least-
you from?
It was known as Yagmoth's tomb when I was there. But later, before all of that, it was known as Dominaria. It was my home.
Do I know where that is?
Dominaria? Roll a Arcana check, because this has to do with planar knowledge.
7.
Nope. You
Interesting.
might be some kind of fish. You're not sure.
In your world ain't there no more.
It is and it isn't.
Well, that's a bunch of crap.
When I left, it kind of was. It was a little bit of a crapshoot as to whether or not it was still going to be there when I got back, and I have been trying. I've been trying to find my way back, but I don't know if that's the best. I don't know if that's the best place for me right now. I don't. How is it when you hop? Or I guess, what is it that the Lion Man said? Walk when you planeswalk.
Bright.
Okay.
Kind of shitty, actually.
Okay, that's 2 for 2. We're on the same page.
Are you questioning if we have plane walked?
No. I did a thing. I made an invention, and I assumed, rightfully so, that it could fix things. My plane was a little off-kilter, I want to say. And so I got to work as one does, trying to fix it. And the first thing that I could really think of was to rewind it.
You made a time machine.
Yes. Yes, I did. And it worked for a bit. And then it exploded. And when it exploded, the energies that I had harnessed from the rifts, they came into me. And I'm not following... if you all are going from point A to point B, it's a very straight shot. Where I'm going, it's a little more wibbly-wobbly.
So more like a point A to point H sort of thing?
Yes, but it's point H for you, point B for me.
Fascinating. So, this friend of yours,
Karn, yes.
why did they take him?
Well, I assume because they have grabby little hands, and he is a golem that stands about as tall as your friend, with the 2 chairs, and he's made entirely of silver.
I see. What are the rules in this city? Can't you talk to the guards?
I would. They don't like me very much, because they caught me sneaking around the Izzet Guild, trying to find my friend.
Okay, so when was that they caught you?
Well, they got on to me about 10 days ago.
They didn't catch you.
No.
Cool.
No, because I did a little bit of a reverse whoopsie. After they got close to finding me, I traveled a little bit.
Wibble wobbled.
Yes.
Ghost looks at Dakka. Is this something that's feasible? To break into the Izzet Guild?
It could be.
If it helps, I know where. I would need a little bit of muscle.
Show me the coin first.
And he takes out he puts his coin bag onto the table, and you see that there is a total of 120 Zeno, and then there are, which is gold. And then there are 4 gems of various colors. You see a red gem, a blue gem, it's almost like an opalescent white gem, and then you see a second blue gem as well.
Dakka nods, and she just kind of gestures to that on the table. And
Personally, I don't care for the money, but further on down the line, I might call on to you for a favor.
Well, if that is the case, I will do my best to be there. I try pretty hard, but it's difficult at times.
From one plane walker to another, as you said we are, if you do try to run from this, I will find you and I will kill you.
Well, I usually run into danger. Not so much
Perfect.
the other way around. Although if I do find myself in danger, I try to offset it and wibble wobble my way back out. But I'm not running, I'm just running forward in a backwards motion.
This is Matt Smith. Are we talking to Matt Smith?
Kind of.
I just realized that. I was like gonna say something, like make a comment about his hair, and then I was like, wait a minute. I know this figure. Oh my god.
Is he wearing a bow tie?
No.
Wait.
They look closer to a Tenant era.
I'm doing Google image searches of these because I know that all these characters have like tons of art done of them.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, a little bit.
Well, I say on to you, good sir. Cheers.
Right.
And KRONK looks at Hubris. So does that mean we're helping out?
I guess it means we're helping out.
Sure.
Excellent. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, so next up, we should probably do this on Nightfall. If anything, gives me a little bit of extra time to prepare. How do I put this? There are lots of mechanical things that the Izzet do, many of which need to be turned off in order for you to get from point A to point B. I can go and take care of those things, turn them all off, to give you an easier run in, and then I will help you free Karn. But I need you to help get me through.
Sure. But I'll need information on the layout of the place and what traps are where and what sort of people tend to live there.
Goblins, Vidalcan, gnomes, a big dragon who's rather self-entitled if I really want to get into it, but that's besides the point. Then there are a variety of deadly creations, absolutely terrifying. I would never get near them. A rather charming fellow named Ralzeric, but we had a disagreement about the base functionality of certain things. I'm getting ahead of myself. Here, and he reaches into his bag and pulls out a piece of paper, lays it down, and then begins sketching you out a map of the place.
And how many people do you want us to kill?
Preferably 0. The least dead is the best part. For people, if it's a primordial, if it is a golem, that's not Karn. You'll recognize Karn. Silver. He's incredibly intelligent, one of the most brilliant people that I've ever met in my entire life. Don't kill Karn. Please, please, please.
So like a 5 on the collateral scale then?
You have a scale? Why do you have a
Yes?
scale? Scales are bad. Don't look at those.
Underneath his mask, he smiles.
Don't. Odds doesn't matter. We'll triumph in the end. I believe it. So that's really as far as I've got this whole time. But I know this can work.
Dragon, huh? What color?
Yes, I caught that too.
Oh, Niv, he won't worry with you, if that
What
makes
color?
sense. Where are you from?
Sword Coast.
Don't think I've heard of that one. Wait,
Faerun.
I read a book about it. It's written by a man named Volo, I think.
Fuck.
He was a brilliant author. Absolutely wonderful nomenclature throughout. Now, from what I've seen of your area, there are 10 dragons, roughly, right? There's like a red, a white, a blue, green, black, and then there's like a corresponding flip side of the coin of the other ones, gold, silver, all of those. Niv is none of those. He is a Draco genius, or at least, again, self-titled, honestly. He's a little contrived, that's fine. He likes to make complicated mathematical equations that really just spell out his name and take
No, I
people
don't like that.
months to solve.
Nope. Don't like him at all.
No, he's from one smarty pants to the next. He's a little full of himself. That's besides the point.
Talk a lot without saying anything.
I get that a lot. Now, Niv Mizzet
Like
is
Volo.
red and blue, I guess. Controls lightning, but is more focused on creation and development, research, that whole kind of thing, versus big fire-breathy destroy things. This is a dragon who loves a puzzle.
So he's like a brass dragon then.
Oh, kind of, I guess. I'm not that familiar with your dragons, but I know the entire guild is named after him.
Great.
He's been here for a while. I'm not sure if he has been here, if he's taken note of Karn yet or not, or if they're waiting. But I think... What?
Snatch and grab him before this smarty pants figures
Yes.
it out. All right.
Yes, please. That would be most excellent. New friends.
Where are you staying?
Ledges, mostly. Kind of climb up to a high point and sleep. Don't really have a room.
A man after my own heart.
You had one.
Yeah, until you stomped it.
Moving on.
Yes. Moving on. So, and he points to the map that he has drawn. So this is the control center here. This is where I am going to be. This is the, the rest of the facility. Now, this is the entry point, and he makes a circle at an area that he is sort of listed as a gate. And you need to go into here, go into this building. There will be some security protocols, don't worry. I will do my best to turn them off as you run forward. I've got it covered. Ugh. So, if you can get through there, you have to make it through these sets of hallways. Turn to the third door on your right at the end of this hallway. And inside, there will be a panel. Now, that panel is going to present an equation. Now, the equation doesn't matter. The answer is always the same. NIV hyphen Mizzet.
Dragon's name?
Yes. Like I said, he's very full of himself.
Such a garbage password.
I agree. Now, does this sound reasonable? And once you are in to release Karn, he's not a bad golem.
Usually when people say that, there's a catch. I'm waiting for the
He won't
but.
know who you are. When you arrive and free him, I will hop to where you are. I can talk to Karn. He'll listen to me.
Is there a way to deactivate him?
And Venser looks at you, and his shoulders slump a little bit, and you can see that he just gets the most, like, morose look upon his face. And he says, "Don't ever turn Karn off.
Will
There's
he
no
reset?
switch. There's no button. But there are worlds that depend on him, that require him to be alive and awake. So please don't turn him off."
So why don't we get there and then you come, and then we'll free him.
Yes, that was one in the same.
Well,
One in the same hat. Is that a phrase here? Same hat? Is that a phrase where you come from? It's a phrase
might
where I
be.
come from. Anyways, now, will you help me?
Of course.
Thank you.
I start sliding the gold off of the table.
Ghost stands up and walks over to his side of the table, and she'll place her hand on his shoulder with her claws out, and she'll kind of lean in his ear and say, "But Nate, make no mistake. I know you don't know what I am, but I can track you." And she like gives a good long sniff up his cheek. "And if you do something
Shifter.
to betray us, good. Then you do know what I can do. I'll find you."
And then we'll give him the old toothpaste treatment.
you Dakka, you see Ghost, her eyes like go, oh, like she's remembering something that was just so traumatizing.
Hubris has the same expression. He's looking off to the left.
I promise, on worlds that aren't even there anymore, that I've let down, I promise on every breath that was never taken that I will not betray you. And I am sorry. I am sorry that you feel that you need to threaten a man who is down on his luck.
Well, a man who has nothing to lose can be the most dangerous.
So I've been told. Anyways, we'll reconvene at night. Transguild Promenade. You're rather unique in this setting, so I won't have that much of a difficulty finding you, I would suppose. Thank you. Thank you all so much. And at that, sort of stands up, and then finger guns towards you. "See you at nightfall!" And then walks over to the bar, and takes out a little bit of coin that he has left, and he's actually going to pay for your drinks.
Oh, how nice of him.
As he's walking away, Hubris leans back in his chair and just like, well, Don't thank us just yet.
Not announce that we're working with him, please.
All right.
Now, we have a job. We have some coin. We need some disguises. Tell me more about this Izzet Guild. They're a bunch of crafters,
Eggheads.
DIYers.
Dakka,
make
from what you know, DIY is the least that you could call them. Like, in the most simplistic terms, do it yourself describes the Izzet Guild. Now imagine that, but with a Tesla coil the size of a skyscraper. That probably isn't put together with ocean regulations in mind.
Duct tape. Lots of duct tape.
Oh yeah.
They're also responsible for that maze that she had such a bad time in
Yes.
as well, right?
That is
Yeah,
correct.
She doesn't like Izzet Guild, and she makes that clear. Yeah, she also says all the other things she knows about them. They make things.
Mm.
Wonderful.
Do they got them 3-story crab gator guard things to guard? Or
No, I believe that's more of the Simics
But
forte.
I mean, they could buy some from the Simics to be their watchdogs, anything like that? Or is it all going to be like creepy fire spitting machines?
Usually don't need that.
I wonder how difficult it would be to take over a guild here.
Dakka, you have seen entire clans try and rise up against a guild leader, only to become stains on the ground of the Rebel Belt. Taking over a guild is not an easy feat.
I think in terms of Gruul, Dakka is one of the more jaded ones, and that's why she spends so much time in the city. She's basically given up on the Great Gruul dream of, destroying the city. Like, she's decided that, you can't beat him, join him. So that idea is ridiculous to her.
Well, let's go see if we can speak to our fence. And then prepare for tonight.
Okay.
Our fence is the Izzet.
I know. We can scope it out.
Okay. So make a survival check, the lot of you, as you are making your way to this fence.
22.
12.
10.
Shall I roll with advantage for being
Yeah.
from here? Okay.
Oh. Well, I'm good at it. So 18.
Okay. So, Hubris, you rolled in the 20s as well?
12.
Okay, 12. It was Ghost who rolled higher?
Yeah, 22.
Okay. So-
We're gonna hoods up this,
Oh, for
walking
sure.
around the city. Yeah. Just
All right.
being sure.
You are.
Yeah, Dakka is full on, does not care. I mean, you're a regular in the city. You live in the plane, therefore you exist here. There is no reason for you to hide and pretend like you don't. But for Ghost and actually just Ghost, as KRONK, you were still taken aback about the size and the scale of all of these buildings. KRONK, you have thoughts of is the structural integrity the same with these buildings as the one back home? Can I still Kool-Aid man my way through walls, or are they going to be a little rougher? You're more just taking it all in because you see so many things you want to fight, and so many things that Ghost won't let you fight.
All these gladiators, there's got to be an arena somewhere.
Quite possibly so. Hubris, you are looking out for any tiefling. Any of them. And you aren't seeing them. They just don't even seem to be around. So you feel like asking somebody if they've seen a smaller version of you might be the easiest option here.
It's not the best option, though.
Yeah, it's not the safest option. But Ghost, you definitely have heist mode engaged, and you are actually doing a good job at scoping out the place. As you are walking, you see that there is it's like a pickpocket occur. Like, you see a brief bit of thieving happen, and this figure who is like stolen some things from a merch table, assumedly without having alerted any guards, within a matter of minutes is surrounded by Boros legionnaires, and an Azurius law mage is already there, giving them out a sentence of an immeasurable amount of time for you. You aren't necessarily sure how days, weeks, anything, or days/10 days, because fucking Forgotten Realms time works in Ravnica. But overall, you have a pretty general idea that if anyone alerts the guards as to what you are doing, this could turn badly. But Venser has told you that he will take care of any of the gates and traps and that sort of thing, so that way you won't be alerted. But you have a pretty good understanding. You actually walk by the facility that you know Karn is currently being held in. But as to the exact location within, you know that there's going to be a lot of things that you'll need to bypass to actually get through there. Dakka, you see all of this as well, but it doesn't really mean much to you. But you notice, Dakka, that there is something that is following you, or seems to be paying a brief bit of attention to you. And it is a small winged creature about the same size as an imp, but it is wearing a dull golden mask that seems to have this kind of this pearlescent shape, or pearlescent sphere embedded into the mask itself, and it just seems to be looking down at you and your group as you continue.
Do I know what it is?
You would recognize this to be an Orzhov Thrall, or an Orzhov Thrall, sorry. And with Thralls, you know that most times they're used to just keep tabs on individuals, on groups. The city is littered with them. They are effectively the pigeons of Ravnica, much to the Orzhov's delight.
Would I be what would happen if I brandished a weapon in this area?
If you brandished a weapon?
Yeah. Would it be a problem? Would I be approached by guards at all?
You might be approached by guards, but they would recognize you as a member of the Groll clans, and as long as you aren't breaking anything or hurting anybody.
Cool. I fucking shoot it with my short bow.
Okay. Make an attack roll.
I take a large step away. This is a pigeon, right?
Ghost, you recognize this as what looks like a small humanoid with little bat-like wings attached to its back that is wearing this golden mask that has this pearlescent sphere on the face.
Right, but this is like, in our world, like, this is like killing a pigeon. Is that what I don't know. Okay.
Imagine if the pigeons were government surveillance cameras. So, Dakka, what was your ranged attack?
It's a short bow.
Okay.
Shall I actually roll for it?
Yes.
All right.
Just to see if you hit or not.
Cool. 24.
Okay, 24 totally hits. This thing doesn't have very much health. So you just one-shot it, and you the rest of you, like Dakka, as this arrow pierces it, it lodges itself in this creature, and the creature just falls. And it hits the ground, but there doesn't seem to be any kind of like sickening crunch of bones cracking or anything. If anything, you just hear the metal of the helm hit against the ground. And looking at it, it looks like sawdust is actually pouring out of this creature.
If anybody gives me a weird look, I glare at them.
Hubris gives you a weird look.
What was that?
A pigeon.
What?
Actually, no. A message
To whom?
to the Orzhov from me.
You know we're associated with you now, right?
She just kind of glares at her and then quirks a smile. And now you know why I'm clanless.
I think we should look into other guides.
Oh, is this something you can be arrested for?
I just start walking away.
It was a pretty good shot. He calls after you.
Okay.
Ghost pinches her the brow of her of the bridge of her nose and just moves forward.
Okay.
And then I'll ask Hubris, are we just going to leave that pearl and that gold sit there?
Listen, honestly, I don't know what the fuck is going on. If she shot something and they come after us, whatever, but I don't want to be caught with anything of the Orzhov Guild in case they can increase a sentence. So yes, we're going to leave it there.
All right.
Okay. Sounds good. So as you all get to the fence, it is a little gnomish man who has these almost like it's sapphire lenses on their goggles that they wear, and you can't see through it, and you're fairly certain that they may not be able to actually see back through the lenses. But knowing Dakka, from what you're aware, the Izzet are oft crafty, so he's probably able to scan you up and down, as it were. And when you arrive, they have a balding head, but just a like monk's wreath of wild white hair that sort of sticks out on either ends that really helps enunciate their overly large humanoid ears, as gnomes have. And as you arrive, they say, look what the cat's dragged in. This is my old friend Dakka. And what do you bring old Heronius today?
Flash of gold at him.
Ooh. And he... is this one of your gold pieces or one of the parties?
I think one of the parties.
Mm-hmm.
My. What is this? Oh, I don't really know what this is.
It's gold.
Well, I can see that it's gold, but gold what? It's in the shape of a coin, but it's not Orzhov, it's not Izzet, it's not, well, Azurius.
It can be used, yes.
Well, yes. Everything can be used. It just
So
depends
does it-
on who's using it.
So
You
does it
want
really...
or not?
How much are you looking to sell?
600 units.
I can offer you 200 Zeno for it.
All 600, sir.
No, I heard you the first time. What I'm saying is I can give you 200 Zeno for it.
It's a 25 on my insight.
You're talking to a pawnbroker asking to offload some money that has no meaning here. He's literally buying it for base weight.
Does it seem to be a reasonable price, or is he lowballing us?
With the 25, you feel like he's lowballing you a little.
250.
And he looks towards you. Kind of like moves up his solid blue goggles.
Her blue eye flares.
Oh. 250 on one condition. Come closer. Closer.
She moves in closer.
And he grabs onto your face and peels up the lid of your eye and the lower part. How did you do this? What's going on in there? What kind of contraption do you have?
Hubris shoves his
Throat.
I think 3 people move towards him at once.
There is an arcane focus pointed at the base of his neck.
I said one condition and suddenly I have weapons drawn on me? 150 for fucking threatening me, you assholes.
You don't touch people without their permission. It's
said
called consent.
250 on one condition. Get closer, closer, closer. What did you think was going to happen?
250.
You don't touch.
I'm gonna
This
make an
is a
intimidation.
buyer's market.
Go ahead, Hubris.
300, and I don't shove my arcane focus so far down your throat you'll be shitting magic.
I shit magic 8 days a week. You think I'm afraid of a focus?
Natural 20, so 28 on the intimidation.
Okay. And as he says, you think I'm afraid of a focus, he quickly finds the barrel end of your arcane focus in his mouth, and he sees that your finger is going towards the trigger.
Slowly
Hey.
extricate it.
Moves it, and like there's a lot of drool on your gun now, and he just says 250 because you asked so nicely.
He
Very kind of
spins
you.
the gun and holsters it.
As she's leaning in to like make the trade, she'll kind of like whisper at him, I made a deal with a god. That's how I got my eye.
Oh, gross! You're one of those Selesnians.
Hubris
Ghost does not know if this is offensive or not.
Hubris catches Dakka smiling at him, and then as soon as he looks at her, her face drops.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your business. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
It was a pleasure doing business. It was a pleasure doing business with you as well. My name is Heronius. Never come here again. And he reaches up and grabs a metallic panel and just slides it downward. And as the panel shuts, you see that this small storefront seems to shimmer, and then it just looks like part of a wall.
Fascinating.
And
I
you
think we made a new
hear
friend.
And a little door underneath where you had seen seems to emerge out of the wall, and they look up. Dakka, you still want your dust later?
By what?
He's asking you if you want any dust.
What the fuck is dust?
It's Ravnica drugs.
She like shoves him back in there.
Okay. Sounds good. So, as you just shove this gnome back in who tried to sell you some drugs, that is where we are going to go into our break for the evening. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who has decided to stop on by and join us for this wonderful excursion through the mean streets of Ravnica, where it turns out that the Waterdeep crew is a lot meaner than the people who live here. But this is only session 2. So we are going to try and be back shortly. So don't go no place unless it is to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to indooradventure.redbubble.com. Pick yourself up something nice, and we'll see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
Always ask before touching. Consent. Consent.
Hello, everybody, and we have returned. Our heroes have just strong-armed a pawnbroker to pay them more money than he initially wanted to give them after they threatened him. But that's totally fine. So now all that is left is to kind of stay put and without anything else going on for you all until nightfall. Is there anything that you would like to do during this time? Whether it be shop around, ask questions, that sort of thing.
Hubris would break away from everyone for the time being to do his own set of investigation.
Okay.
Ghost will give him strict instructions when to return and where.
As he's walking away, he just like raises a middle finger up to her.
I hope he gets lost.
Dakka watches him walk away suspiciously.
Ghost will speak. Oh, go ahead, KRONK. Sorry.
Should I go with him?
Buddy system for the best. Yes, please.
Stride.
Dakka's gonna grab KRONK on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful.
And KRONK just walks away laughing loud to himself, and then
Dakka does not crack at all, just completely serious.
So, Dakka, you'll have to tell me more about these factions, these guilds, whatever they are, and what exactly they do. We're here for a reason. We're looking for someone, a couple someones. One which is a very powerful wizard. Does the name of Manshun mean anything to you?
Does it?
Make a history check.
Why are you asking the horse? 2.
Why are you asking the horse?
Because she lives here.
Dakka, this is the first time you have ever heard that name. Like, not even that name. This is the first time you have ever heard these syllables put next to each other.
What did she say? Mushroom?
Manshun. However, Dakka,
Yeah.
you could have heard mushroom if you would like with the 2 that you rolled.
Yes. She just continues to stare at you, uncomprehending.
Ghost rolls her eyes and crosses her arms, looking off, and she's gonna study the way people look and act in this city, taking note of the things that stand out and the things that blend in.
I will get my drugs though.
Okay. Yeah, so Dakka, you definitely were, you'd end up trading one of the gemmies that you were given. You trade the red gemmy to this gnomish individual, and in return, he ends up giving you some quote-unquote dust, which is basically like refined magical ore that has then been powdered and turned into a powder. You know that there are many ways of ingesting this thing, but I think that describing them would break Twitch TOS. So
Wow.
let us just say you have your drugs now.
I'm just gonna put it. I'm on the job. I'm not gonna use right now.
Yeah, later. For when you gotta go really fast in the desert. So, you were able to get your drugs. Ghost, you are asking Dakka about the different guilds, to which Dakka is, like, you see Dakka thinking about what you're saying, but then the responses that you're getting are basically the same that you got within the Rubble Belt, which is that Dakka knows that there are about 9 guilds in total. Ghost, as you are looking around, You notice that there is a figure who definitely doesn't look like they are from around here either. Just based solely off of the clothes that they are wearing. It looks like they have a much more... they look almost like the Groll would, in that it is these very darkened leather pauldrons, a very kind of tight, a closer, almost winter-style gear that they have wrapped around themselves, and they just have this wicked-looking staff. They have long brown hair to the point of darkness that it is almost black, and then the makings of a goatee, and they have a look of purpose about them as they are walking around, but they don't seem to have taken notice of you or your group.
Ghost might lean over and like nudge Dakka and kind of tilt her head towards the individual, but not look at them. Man with the long brown hair on the stick. What's his story?
Dakka was busy communicating using Thieves' Cant with somebody on the street, just kind of like stomping her hoof. And she just looks over at the guy that Ghost is pointing at. What can I tell her about it?
Make another history check.
11.
Dakka, as far as you are aware, he is a traveler, much like the travelers that you have with you. In Ravnica, this is not a uncommon thing at this point to see individuals who are from distant lands making their way to the city. For what reason? You're pretty sure that Jace Balerion is behind it. That guy is a real pompous dick, and he is the living guild pact now, so seeing this individual is not necessarily unprecedented. They look like they would fit right along in the Groll tribes, but you know that even clanless Groll still have a more of like a fashion sense about like their coloration to let those know like I am part of the Groll as a much larger community, but he is just wearing these very kind of muted browns, and it's almost like that is more cause for not necessarily alarm, but to draw your eyes in, is that they seem to be wearing very little in terms of coloration. But in the dwindling city light, you can see that their armor that they wear and like this coat that they have looks like it has patches that would be scales. Just like not more closer to as you would know them, Dakka, the Vashino, which are the lizard folk of Ravnica, but it looks like he is wearing these scales as part of his armor, and they are reds, greens, and blacks.
It's a hopper like you. Looks like Groll, but he's not.
I think we need to change our outfits. We seem to be standing out.
Maybe you do.
Yeah, Dakka looks like a regular Ravnican.
Yes, I am aware. That's what I meant by we. Are there any shops nearby?
Yeah, sure. Show us some shops.
Okay. Tin Street has a variety of merchants, so finding clothes is not difficult. Ghost, getting a set of clothing is going to cost, it will cost 10 gold pieces / Zeno, in order to actually afford.
Aggressive shopping montage.
Oh, it is like Ghost being like, does this one look good? And Dakka being like, it looks impractical for combat. Like, it is very much, they are coming at it from two different angles. And
I think it's Ghost is more like, is this is this a guild color? Am I going to get yelled at for this? And she's like, meh.
Pretty much. Because there are many guild lists within Ravnica, but just the overall fashion, Dakka, you try and help Ghost with, but Ghost has a good mindset of what to do. So,
Should we also get clothes for KRONK
Yeah.
and Hubris?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
We dress them.
it'll be another 5 gold per set for each individual. So KRONK,
Sorry, you said 10 gold for mine.
yes.
Okay, so it's 5 for theirs, 10 for mine.
Yes.
Tax. Yeah.
That-
Pink tax. Yeah.
I thought you were progressive, Indoor. It's fine.
Not Ravnik.
It's more of how fancy are you getting their clothes? Yep. So, Hubris and KRONK, the two of you are going around investigating as best you can. Hubris, you are alone in the big city. You got the biggest possible shadow outside of the Stomp Howlers and all of the other incredibly large creatures following after you in the form of KRONK GOREBLAST. So how are you going about trying to find answers?
Probably bar hopping.
Okay.
Just probably going up to bartenders, like, have you seen a girl from the Rakdos Guild, white skin, horns? Probably stands out.
And as soon as you mention the Rakdos Guild, a lot of them are like, I don't go to the carnival. Nope, no sir. But make a persuasion check.
Listen, I'm not from here, so you're gonna have to tell me what this carnival is all about. 21.
So when you ask them to explain what the carnival is all about, Ravnica does not have gods necessarily, but one of the oldest creatures here is a being known as Rakdos. It is a large demon beast with 2 incredibly large wings, tall horns, that has never once seceded the ownership of his guild to any other creature. And for no better reason than he doesn't necessarily have guild members. It is a cult. The followers love Rakdos. There are blood witches that follow Rakdos. There are jugglers that follow Rakdos. And jugglers by themselves don't sound so terrible until you realize that they're juggling bombs. Anytime that you are interested in anything like whips, chains, spikes related, it's going to be the Rakdos cult. Any kind of carnal delight that can be taken to one extreme or the other is found within the Rakdos Guild.
Usually Hubris would be all for this, but KRONK can see that he looks visibly worried as he slides the bartender equivalent of 1 gold and says, "Forget about me."
And the bartender just looks at you, shrugs, and goes back, like takes the coin and just goes back to what they were doing. And as you are continuing to investigate around, make another investigation check.
Well, we know these Rakdos punks don't have your sister. It's Mushroom who has her, so I wouldn't worry too much, buddy.
He could have dumped her off there.
No,
You never know.
I think this is personal.
If you direct yourselves to the Snapchat, that's another natural 20.
Womp, 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 womp. Alrighty. So, with your natural 20, you don't necessarily find out information of... You don't find like a solid trail that will lead you directly to her. But you are told that one person that you speak with says that they saw a figure matching your that description with a homunculi that had wandered through the city streets, that had somehow escaped or gotten lost, oh so terribly lost, trying to navigate the city streets of Ravnica themselves. And they explain that the homunculi there are humanoids, and then there are the goblinoids as like in height variance, and then the homunculi are they're smaller than or about the size of a small dog. And the homunculi has actually gotten relatively famous for being just so incredibly lost. And its name is Fithlethib.
Fithlethib.
Nice.
It's something. What time is it now?
At this point, it is getting closer to nightfall, and they end up telling you that if you're looking for information on anybody not from around here, that your best bet is to probably talk to that weird startup that's occurred towards the end of 10th Street, towards the 8th District. Acquisitions Incorporated, I think they're called.
Great. Well, thank you for your time. And the drink. And he'll push away from the bar and start heading to the promenade.
Okay. And when you arrive at the promenade, Ghost, what guild have you stylized your clothing after? Or have you gone for a much more, like, set style?
Well, I think I wouldn't want to, like, not pick a guild, but, you know, like, I don't know enough about them to, like, say, oh, this one over that one. So I think more of a natural, like, guildless look.
Okay. Sounds good. So you have your natural guildless look about you, and Ghost has acclimated at this point. Still, for the two of you, a friend is always easy to spot in a crowd, but she seems to be much more like receded into the actual goings-on of the Ravnican society. Not many people are it seems like people aren't really paying her attention. It's like you can dress as weird as you want in a city that is as dense as Ravnica, and nobody's going to really look at you twice. But even then, Ghost has sort of adopted the demeanor of one who is from the city.
As they're walking up, Hubris is playing with something that's around his neck, and if he spots Ghost, he'll just quickly shove it back down his shirt.
Okay.
Should I make a perception check?
Yeah, make a perception check.
What's up, Roger? You don't want to be up here.
As she does that, Dakka approaches, pulls the clothes out of her saddlebags, and tosses them to them.
15.
Okay, so with a 15, you see Hubris tucking a chain around his neck away. But as you are getting ready to discuss it, your dear friend that you had met at the Tin Can earlier, Venser, seems to come up very quickly out of the crowd towards you in a way that doesn't really draw much attention to him, but it's still walking with purpose towards you. Just says, "Oh, I am so glad that you all decided to come on back. Thank you. I honestly would be out of pretty much all of my money if you had just walked off with it. So I'm glad that you were honorable. Okay. You ready?
Let's go over it one more time.
All right. So there's a control room. I'm going to hop into the control room. From there, I'm going to lower the gate, turn down the security measures to the best of my ability, and then you all are going to rush in, rescue Karn.
And you're
Right.
going to meet up with us at some point to
Yes.
talk to Khan.
Yes.
Third door on the right.
Yes.
Getting the panel.
Yes.
With the password.
Yes. The equation doesn't matter.
Right.
Nev Mizzet.
Niv.
Niv Mizzet.
Yes.
I have it.
Good.
And these security measures.
Yes.
If you can't get all of them down, what should we be looking for?
They will be very big, if that helps.
Are they creatures? Is it going to be a trap? Is it going to be a monster or a robot?
Trap that leads to monster? Possibly. The Izzet aren't really so much into monsters as they are, like, harnessing the powers of lightning and then making that thing work for them. It'll be fine.
Electricity, yes?
Yes.
I don't know. Would Ghost know that? What does the robot run on? Our robot.
The one that you guys let go, it seems
Yeah.
to be just a self-turning clockwork
Oh,
creature.
okay. So, redacted.
Yes.
Interesting. All right. Again, please try not to kill us.
And that's about as sure of a confirmation as you are going to get, is that he winks at you, makes a clicking sound with his tongue, and gives you finger guns.
Shall we?
And KRONK lingers a second, as KRONK off does, and he'll lean in to the guy and be like, well, you kind of had me at the whole greater good, but we're a package deal. And then he catches back up in a couple extra strides.
Venser will put a hand, he'll have to reach up to put a hand on your very beefy shoulder. And he says, you are an excellent companion. Don't forget that.
All right.
And as you all get close to, get outside of the Izzet compound, Venser reaches into his bag and pulls out it is the oddest looking helm that you have ever seen. It has fins that go along the sides of it, and it looks more like a traditional bucket helm, but it covers everything except for his, it's basically like the Batman cowl, how it's just the, underside of the nose and down. And there is a set of red ruby eyes that he is able to see through. And he puts the helmet on, undoes his cloak, and you can see that there are tattered blue robes that he is wearing underneath that all seem to be reinforced with this very ancient looking metal. His robes look like they are going to fall to tatters at pretty much any time, but these are just what he's comfortable wearing. And he says, all right, ooh, let's do this. And at that, he puts his hands in front of him, and there is a flash of this light blue energy. And you see his body twist and spiral into this portal that he has made for himself, and then that portal quickly closes. And after about 15 seconds, you see the gate in front of you open, and it opens enough for you all to rush in.
Dakka. This is probably stupid. Let's do it. Ghost moves forward.
Okay.
Dakka rushes in.
Make stealth checks as you enter into the Izzet compound.
Um,
18.
18, 17.
Got boots, 19.
19.
19 as well.
Okay. So you are all able to get to the compound, and as you are getting close to the door that Venser had described in his map, you see that there is a security panel on the outside that has a red glowing dot above it, and as you get close to it, that dot actually flashes to blue, and you hear a clicking sound as the door partially opens, and as you push it forward, you realize that Venser has been able to open this door for you.
Ghost is going to put up her hood on her cloak of elven kind, just so we are aware.
Okay. So as you are all rushing forward into this compound, you come around a corner and you can see that there's an open room ahead of you to continue going down. And as you are rushing forward, you hear a click, and then the door in front of you drops down with what looks like a steel sheet. And then behind you, the hallway that you came from, another steel sheet drops as well. And you hear an audible sound over these internalized speakers. What is everyone's language? What are everyone's languages?
Common, infernal.
Common and giant.
I'm muted. Common, celestial, sylvan, and undercommon.
Okay. So what do you speak, Dakka?
Common, orc, and sylvan.
Okay. So none of you recognize the languages that are the language that is coming through. KRONK, you aren't able to understand it, but you recognize this jabbering sound as gnomish, given your past history having been involved with gnomes. And at that point, you see panels open up on the grounds to either side of you, and twin figures emerge upward from the ground. One of which is, or I guess two figures, not twin figures. My apologies. One of them is larger than you are, KRONK, and they have a bucket helmet that covers their entire face and has one of these viewports built in, but it looks almost like 1920s diving gear versus kind of plate mail. Like, it has this kind of viewport that has been built into it with these wires that are connected, and you see that it has this giant pack along its back. And there are, along its two large muscular arms, it looks like there are these giant metallic fists that have been put in there as well. And you can see that there is energy crackling off of this creature. On the next hole that has been brought up, you see that it looks like a spiked cluster. And the cluster begins to shake and points begin to emit off of it, and it levitates up as it seems like the center of it is emitting sparks of electricity. And as these electrical sparks hit on each of these points as they rise, you actually see what looks to be an almost humanoid shaped body made entirely out of electricity on one of these other sides. I would like for everybody to roll initiative.
$16. Ooh, KRONK got a nat 20.
Which means... Do you have any bonuses?
Yeah, 25.
Okay.
Fuck.
Ghost?
22, 14 plus 8,
Yes.
22.
Yes.
Dakka?
18.
Holy shit. Y'all fast.
We're ready.
If there's one thing we know how to do, it's fuck up a heist. Let's do this.
Carriage.
Carriage. Nice.
So... is... Okay, so that creature got a... And for those of you at home, this is what you see.
Oh, that's a big daddy.
I don't like it.
There's just one.
There is one of that thing, and then on the other side of the room, let me get it pulled up here, is a creature that looks like this.
Great.
Made of pure electricity.
I don't like how much flesh is involved with the first guy.
If I could have significantly less flesh, that would be killer.
I
All right.
signed up for killing robots.
All right. So, KRONK, you are first.
All right. KRONK says to his cloak, "Good kitty," and his cloak of displacement billows and comes to life, and he draws his flame tongue, and it whirls into fire, and I go after the fleshy one.
Okay.
I'm going to bonus action rage.
And as a point of order, your flame tongue, as we established last time, was thunder damage.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So it like vibrates instead of like
Yes.
bursts into fire. And bonus action rage, and then I'm going to attack recklessly.
Okay.
I'm going to attack recklessly, and I'm going to do the Great Weapon Master. Or wait, which one is it? It's one of those great weapon things. I'm
Yeah.
going to -5 to hit, but plus 10 damage.
Okay. On the big guy or the guy made of electricity?
The big guy.
Okay.
The guy made of electricity, that's magic. Hopefully Hubris will get him. Okay, so 17, and because of the -5, it's only +4, so 21 to hit.
Oh, totally hits.
All right. So Ooh, okay, so rage is +2. Okay. Hubris, help me with some math because I'm dyslexic. So 11 plus 10
21,
plus 2
23,
plus 5.
28,
Okay. 28. Plus another 11 in thunder damage.
39 total.
Holy shit.
And as it slices in, it boom, explodes with noise.
Oh, yeah. No, there is a definite loud, thunderous boom that comes as your weapon connects. So, are you ready for your second attack?
Yes.
How come Gwen can't do this?
Gwen didn't pay to win. Get a 500,000 dragons, buy whatever you want, and then complain.
9. That's only it's with advantage. So 10 plus 9, but -5 is 14 to hit.
Okay. A 14 doesn't... Actually, it does hit this thing. That's exactly what you needed. He a biggin.
All right. Let's try that again. Here, I'll try to roll more dice at once. Okay, so that, but those two, because the Great Weapon Master, get re-rolled. All right. You ready to help me out, Hubris?
Sure.
Okay. 9
Mm-hmm.
plus 7
16,
plus 10
26,
plus 2
28,
plus 5.
33.
33.
Jesus, tap dancing Christ. Alrighty, so you've dealt 60 damage in a round.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. So, KRONK, did you have anything else that you wanted to do on your turn?
No, because I used my bonus action to rage.
Okay, cool. No action surges or any other ridiculous thing like that?
I after these two massive hits, KRONK assumes that there's going to be bigger, badder things down the line to use his action surge on.
Okay, sounds good. So then next up, Ghost, what is your dexterity modifier?
+3.
Okay, so this creature is actually going to go before you, as it has a +4 to its dex mod. And you see it levels an arm, or what you would describe as an arm for such a creature. And lightning is going to jump out of it. It is going to then strike against KRONK, and it is going to strike against Dakka, as this creature sees that these are the two largest threats within the room.
Counterspell at 4th level.
Okay. It is not a spell.
Oh, it's not a spell? Okay, cool.
Nope. It is a spell-like ability because this creature's made of lightning.
Well, good luck, everybody.
So, that is a natural 20 against KRONK.
Fuck.
So, boom, 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 boom. KRONK, you are going to be taking a pretty number. Let's find out together, shall we?
Pretty small number.
You are going to be taking 38 points of lightning damage.
Okay.
And as the lightning hits into you, you see it actually resonates on KRONK and then leaps off, and that lightning is going to leap over to Dakka for the second hit. So, Dakka, does a 15 hit you?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, sorry. I don't roll to make the second attack. You have to succeed on a dex save.
Ho! I get advantage. Wait. I get advantage on things that I can see.
Yes.
Dex save, Dakka. 25.
Okay, so you are going to be taking half of this.
Oh shit, I have features.
That's 6 total, so you would take 3.
Cool. I'm not raging yet either. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I don't think I have that other rogue thing yet. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna go ahead and take that 3 damage like a champ.
Okay. Sounds good. So you take that there 3 damage like a champ. And you see that this creature made of electricity seems to shrink a little bit after it throws out some of the lightning that it was stored inside of itself. Next up is Ghost.
Oh boy, there's a lot of biggins around me, yeah?
Yes.
Okie dokie. I am going to I'm gonna go ahead and cast a spell because I can. I'm going to cast let's just go for it. Spiritual weapon
Okay.
as my bonus action. So a what was Ghost Spirit weapon? Wasn't it a whip?
It was
A what?
It might have been like a flaming fist, right? Or like claws or
Claws?
something. Yeah.
Like a cat's paw type thing?
Yeah.
It's that.
I was gonna
Um,
say it could be anything you want, really.
I know, I just don't remember. So I'm casting that at 2nd level. And I'm gonna cast it near one of the 2.
Okay. Lightning.
Whichever one's closer to me.
Biggin.
Yes. Yeah, lightning bolt.
So you're putting it towards the lightning boy.
Correct.
So as you do, you see this hulking form looks at you, Ghost, and you see that while its eye port had been blue previously, it flashes red, and it is going to use its reaction of spell vitalization.
Oh no.
And it can move double its movement speed without provoking attack of opportunities, and then can make 1 slam attack against the target of its choice.
Wait,
Solid.
that's my.
I learned from the best! Yeah! And this giant moves faster than you thought possible as the machinery on its back begins to whir very quickly, and it makes its way up to you, Ghost, and it is going to make an attack against you. Does a 19 hit?
It does.
Okay, cool. So you are going to be taking... Wow. I feel slighted. You're going to be taking 14 points of bludgeoning damage.
We haven't rested, right?
Not since
did
Long
Sure.
rested.
you did yesterday, but you haven't been in any
Right.
combat since arriving in the city.
So we had a
Okay.
long rest. at
Yeah,
some
you guys
point,
had
or-
a long rest. Or
No, because we
oh,
fought
fighting
the thing
the
right
thing.
before we
Yeah,
got
you would
here,
have been
yeah.
able to take a short rest in the meantime.
But a short rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, cool. I'm sorry, 14 damage.
Yes. I'm
Ghost-
disappointed in you. The creature, not you.
Okay. So my bonus action, right? Casting a spell, which
Make a concentration check.
Oh right. I rolled a 15.
Okay, you're fine.
Spiritual weapon is in concentration.
Isn't it?
No, you just cast
Oh,
set and forget.
sweet.
That's what makes spiritual weapons so choice.
Nice.
And it uses up your bonus action. though,
Correct.
so that's the only downside to it.
Then might as well let's I'm gonna make a claw attack at this dude.
Okay.
They are not lit. Bow, bow, bow. Does a 22 hit?
22 for sure hits.
That's 7 damage on the first one. Sorry, they're not lit.
Okay. So.
Yep. Do I have two-handed? Sorry.
You.
Oh, yeah, I do
are-
get 2 attacks per turn. Attacks per action.
Yes.
So the second one is a 25
Totally hits.
for 6 damage.
Okay.
Just little claw scrapies.
All right. Sounds good. So the next up is Dakka.
For someone who's supposed to be really fast, I am always low in initiative. Okay, bonus action rage. This electric thing is the first thing that's hurt me in this entire game. So I'm very mad at it, and I'm going to run towards it recklessly and attack. And I realized that I too also have 2 attacks per turn, which I wasn't using before. So my reckless attack is going to be a 18.
18 hits.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna give you some damage as well as the rage damage that I've been forgetting to add. So, 10 slashing damage, and then here comes some sneak attack.
Okay.
Wait, it's sneak attack you just have, right? It's not a bonus action?
Yeah, you just have that as part of the.
On your first attack.
Yep.
The first one that hits anyway. 11. So 13 sneak attack damage, and here comes my second attack. Does a 15 hit.
A 15 does not hit.
Alrighty. And having done that, I don't have a bonus action because I raged this turn. I continue onward with my mobile feat, not provoking any attacks of opportunity.
Okay. And then what is the dex modifier for Hubris?
+2.
Okay, this creature has a -1 to its dex, so I'm pretty sure you're going first.
Cool. How hurt does the biggin look?
The biggin looks pretty fucked up at this point.
Cool. Take that out first then. I'm gonna do my Scorching Ray at 2nd level on it.
Okay.
So that is math. Sorry, one sec. The fuck? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Scorching Ray is +8, 14, 8, 22 for the first hit.
Okay, so 22 damage for the first hit or 2 hit?
2 hits. Sorry.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
that
gonna roll all
hits.
the 2 hits first.
Yeah. A 14 will hit this boy.
Okay, 13. That'll hit, and that'll definitely hit. It's taking. Nope. 17 points of fire damage.
Okay.
I'm going to use up a sorcerer point to cast 2 Eldritch Blasts at it.
Okay.
First hit is a natural 20.
Nice.
Second hit is another natural 20.
You just won the
Cool.
lottery.
I did. I'm sorry.
Point.
Shit. Sorry. 8, 16. Wait, no. 4, 8. Yeah. 36 points of force damage.
It had 13 left, so congrats. You dusted that guy.
You see Hubris first pull out his rifle, shoot it once, then pull out the the pistol, shoot it again, and then he stows them, and you see a Tommy gun made of ice come out and just start shooting away.
Dakka, this is clearly some Izzet bullshit. You were wrong entirely. You thought he was Rakdos. He's pulling out weird machinery. He's clearly Izzet.
Ghost ears. You can see her ears perk up a little bit.
There's no noise. There's just this vent of like steam coming from his mask.
Okay. So next up, that creature's dead as fuck. KRONK.
All right. Guess the lightning boy gets it, and I'll bound through the air. Great sword. Still attacking miraculously. Yeah. 17.
Okay. 17 totally hits.
All right. Re-rolling 1s and 2s. 7 and 6 is 13 plus 10 is 23 plus 2 is
25.
25 plus 5, 30 points of damage.
All right, KRONK. Well, with one fell swoop, you have solved my puzzle. You have defeated the creatures with this group after I failed to comprehend just how strong KRONK was. That was, well, as the creature is downed, you hear Venser's voice over the intercom. And just, is everything all right in there? And then the doors begin to lower. You just need to keep pushing through. You're going to be fine.
Hubris starts running, and as he passes by KRONK, he'll toss him a healing potion, and he'll toss Ghost a healing potion.
Ghost pockets it.
Glug, 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 glug.
What
Okay.
what kind?
It's a lesser. It's like the standard. That's all I could afford.
Okay. So, you all begin to follow along the path that Venser had described for you. And it seems like, other than the one brief mistake that was made in the chamber that you all dealt with very, very skillfully, that you are able to reach the outside of this chamber. And looking down at this pad, you can see that there is that it is actually in Draconic in terms of lettering as to how you are supposed to input the password. Does anybody speak Draconic? All right. So make a... Whoever is going to attempt this, make an insight check.
I get there first.
Dakka, make an insight check.
I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
I was gonna say, what
I
if
just-
you let me?
I just stand there very impatiently.
Ghost
Dakka,
will
you
attempt.
would thrive in early YouTube days, which prided itself on responding first
You know
to
what?
videos.
Instead, I get there, realize that I don't know Draconic, and I run back. I grab Ghost, throw her on my back, and then run her to the pad.
As she does this, and once Ghost is like realizes what's happening, she turns to KRONK behind her and she goes, She just gestures happily, like it's happening. I got a 26.
Ghost, you don't necessarily speak Draconic, but you are able to see in the light of one of the light sources here that there is a clear determinant of where people have pressed with their fingers. So you can see the wear on some buttons versus others.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking Valley Forge. National treasure.
Yes. And
They press the L and the E twice. It's Valley Forge.
God damn it. So you are able to you don't necessarily know what you're booping, but you are able to boop it in the correct order that the door ends up opening for you. And what you see when the door opens is a creature larger than KRONK. Venser was not apt in telling you exactly what Karn would look like. And you see, it almost looks like it is sitting in a chair, but there are shackles around the wrists of this golem, and it seems to have its head down, and there are wires and all sorts of other mechanical apparati that have been attached onto Karn. And you can see that there are scuffs and marrings upon its shoulders and chest, where it looks like the Izzet Guild have been trying to get inside to find out exactly how Karn functions. But it seems like they were unsuccessful in doing so.
Ghost is still on top of Dakka.
Is it dicks?
Sorry?
I'm going to move forward and try to take the thingamajigs off.
No.
Is it
Ghost
soon
pulls
enough
back
that
on
I'm still raging?
Okay, make an athletics check with advantage because you're raging. Ghost, what are you trying to do?
I'm gonna try and stop her. I'm gonna try and strength her away.
Oh shit.
Pull her braids.
Are you trying to fucking heal? Are you trying to rein me in?
Yes.
I'm raging right now.
I did not roll that well.
I rolled a 29.
Yeah, no,
So-
I didn't roll above a 15.
All right, sweet. Ghost,
So you
make
try
a
to rein
dexterity
me
save.
in?
Huh?
Make a dexterity save, Ghost.
Me?
Yes. Dakka is going wild right now as a horse would. So you're getting bucked off.
Okay. Dexterity? That's a 13.
You get bucked off.
I headbutt her reverse. Like I stop short and like bump her head with the back of my like hard muscle back, and I just shove her off, and I'm gonna try and pull that thing off.
Okay, and as you start pulling apart all of these wires and cables, you see twin lights appear in Karn's eyes, and you hear a rumbling noise coming from deep within this golem. And as you continue to pull off these pieces of machinery, you see these large silvered hands begin to grip the sides of the metal holding it down, and you hear the sound of breaking, and this creature begins to move upward. And as it stands, KRONK, how tall are you?
8 foot.
Okay. It is similar in height, but it is wider in its shoulders. So it is just this impossibly sized silvered golem that then looks down at the four of you, and you see it raise up a hand, and a magic of a school unrecognizable begins to form in its hand, and it says, "I will not be bound." And as it says that, you hear a and Venser is next to you, just whoa, Karn! It's okay. It's okay. They're with me. We are friends. You and I. You remember Jared? You remember Jaya? Friends. Teferi? Friends. And Karn looks down and seems to look Venser up and down, and his hand lowers. And Karn says, "It's you." And Venser squints his eye and says, Have we met before? I was told to get you here. And Karn looks down and says, "We have met before. Several times. I owe you a debt I can never repay." And Venser, "Well, that's good. It's pretty good. These are my friends. They have helped you. We need to go." And Karn just nods, and you see this large silvered figure bring their hands together. And as the hands close together, you hear what sounds like the chirping of birds, and a almost soft breeze wraps around you. And as you look down, you can see that there is a portal appearing beneath the lot of you.
Horse.
Venser, what is this?
And Venser sighs and looks at you and then raises an eyebrow. "Well, I thought you said you had hopped before."
Where are we going?
And Karn says, "To our freedom." And
Wait, no.
There is a flash of light. Yes.
Oh, damn. I was going to say Hubris tries to jump out of the circle.
Make a dexterity save.
Oh, boy. 21.
So with a 21, you manage to hop out of this circle, and you are now alone in the Izzet compound. Alarms have begun sounding off in the distance. The rest of you appear in the outside of Ravnica proper. You can see down 10th Street towards the Transguild Promenade.
That fucking idiot!
And
Not you, I'm sorry.
Venser just looks at Karn. Why did he do this? Safety! Is that not a word where you're from?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. And there is a moment where Venser's form seems to blur and shift. And you are all standing back in the Izzet compound. Karn has his hands clasped, and Venser's hands are out and just... "Please come with us!" And he says towards Hubris, "Ghost, you and KRONK have full recollection of leaving and returning. Karn does not, Dakka does not, and Hubris does not."
Horse!
Ghost
Safety is a word in your language, is it not?
Yes, what?
Is trust?
grabs him by the throat, the throat, the collar of his shirt, and just pulls him next to her and holds tight.
And once again, this warm breeze wraps around you. You hear the chirping of birds. And you are now at the edge of 10th Street looking down, and you can see the Transguild Promenade. And Venser says, "Do you see now why when I hop it's a little And he makes waving motions with his hands.
Ghost throws Hubris to the ground and just exclaims, "Stupid man!"
Hubris, you have no idea. You have no idea why Ghost is mad at you. But
Story of my life.
Hubris, while you are on the ground and Ghost is saying "stupid man" towards you, make a perception check.
18.
With your 18, looking down 10th Street, you can see a creature no larger than a small dog with a very scared scowl on its face and one large eye looking around, so startled. And you have a memory of when you were in the bar with the description of Fithlethip, the legendary lost homunculi. And you realize that's that thing.
He gets to his feet and starts walking towards it. How far is it?
It is at this point about, I would like to say, several hundred feet away. Karn had teleported you out to make things relatively easy in terms of safety.
He'll jog then. And then once he gets up to its slow pace, take a knee.
And this creature has a small bag over its shoulder. And you can see that it actually has the Acquisitions Incorporated livery on the bag.
Hello, friend. Hey, no. It's okay. He'll like slowly reach a hand out.
It
gently
cowers a little bit, but then as your hand gets close to it, it just sort of like accepts its fate.
Small pat. You seem lost.
Like it just is like almost crying. You don't know where tear ducts are on this large ocular thing. You don't even know if it's capable of crying or if this is some weird fight pattern that it is yet to develop.
It's okay. Shh. It's fine. I'm trying to help.
All right, and as you were speaking with Fithlethip, Ghost, you have seen Hubris run off towards this small cowering creature. KRONK, you are standing next to this large silvered golem, and a person who, as far as you are aware, has just reversed the flow of time.
The big thing is, I think for KRONK, because KRONK just kind of goes with the flow, was one, it was another portal ride, and two, Dakka's never been through a portal that he knows of, so he's like, if she's doing the horsey thing or if she gets like sick from the thing, he'll like pull her braids out of the way if something like that. So
All right,
yeah,
so
I guess
Dakka, make a Constitution check.
Uh-oh.
Dakka has really short hair, right?
No, it's actually very long. The picture I sent you is old.
It's
5
mohawked
years
into
ago.
a braid.
Constitution saving throw?
Yes.
12.
You feel a churning in your centaur stomach. It definitely wants to come back out. Alcohol and portals don't mix.
it's all right. I feel like that every time.
He's calming her the way that you would a horse, and it's like working, and she's like confused and a little bit angry about this.
Dakka, as far as you were aware, you were in the Izzet Guild. You portaled out. Then somehow you were back in. You did not like that. Then they grabbed Hubris, and then you were back to this place. You have just been through about 3 portals in the span of too short a time. You're a quick creature, but that was fast. And
That was an emotional roller coaster as well, because she definitely thought that Rakdos demon finally betrayed us.
it's true. And at this point, Karn and Venser are having a brief conversation, and Venser is asking Karn, which time is this that Karn has seen Venser? And Karn explains that this is the 5th time that he has seen Venser. And Venser just sort of nods and all right. And then as the lot of you are getting ready to go over towards where Hubris is, you can see that Karn is speaking to Venser, and as he does, Venser goes from having this more jovial look on his face to a look more of sadness. And he looks up towards Karn, and you can see that there is a weight in this exchange. And Venser says, "But will it make things better? Better for everyone?" And Karn nods, and he says, You will save Mirrodin. It's up to you." And he pats Venser on the shoulder, and Venser defeatedly nods, and he looks at the lot of you as you're leaving, and he says, "I'm glad to have known you, all of you."
Yes, it's been a lovely adventure.
And Hubris, you're too far off for this. And Venser then bows. He looks at his helmet.
Venser? Might I call on you sometime?
I would say yes. But if you did, this wouldn't have been the first time that we would have met. And he puts his helmet on.
Don't you need to meet him 4 more times?
He puts his helmet on, and you see his form start to shift, and then it blinks outward. And
is the big old golem still there?
The golem is still there.
She looks up at him. Hello?
And Karn looks down at you. And their face has an unerring expression. And they say, "We must go to the mercenaries." They call themselves Incorporated, I believe.
Yeah, I know. Will you be staying here?
Karn nods.
Well,
It is my duty. I will follow Teferi and Jaya as far as I can.
Right. Well, I am the Lady Flame, and I'm glad to have met you.
And Karn nods, and you see that you see a golem smile. And he says, "A pleasure."
Now, if
And
you excuse me.
extends an arm out for you.
Uh-huh.
If you would like to walk arm in arm with Karn the golem.
Oh, I'm not big on the touching, but
And
thank you.
He nods. And Kronk?
Kronk will tear his costume cloak out of his pack and be like, "You stick out like I usually do." And it doesn't fit him wide-wise, but at least there'll be like a hood.
Karn appreciates this.
Maybe he can cover one shoulder so it'll look like some kind of weird armor or something.
Okay. So, Hubris, you have Fithlethip. Fithlethip looks like they were on their way back to Acquisitions Incorporated with their satchel, but they seem to have gotten lost along the way. And Karn comes over and extends a hand down and does so in a manner that Fithlethip actually will just like hop onto Karn's hand. And then Karn will set them up onto its shoulder. And he looks at the four of you and says, I can tell that you are also not of this place. We are gathering forces. Will you come with me?
What?
There's a war brewing.
Who is your adversary?
And Karn looks at the lot of you, and you can see that there is a look of confusion upon his face. And he says, how recently have your sparks ignited?
Are you asking me my age?
We have
Or when
no
we got
idea.
here?
Are you not planeswalkers?
Newly.
But you have no spark.
I have a lot of spark.
Quit beating around the bush, Ghost. We came here to find my sister, not fight in some stupid war.
We came here to find Manchun.
And at that, Karn will ask, your sister, what does she look like?
Hubris goes into a satchel and pings out a small pocket watch. And there is a very young Hubris, a very young Virtue, and like their mother.
Okay. Fifflefip emotes a excited noise. And you see him pointing, or you see it pointing towards your pocket watch. And Karn looks at Fifflefip. Seems this one might know where they are.
I was counting on it.
Lead the way, small one.
This is the worst idea.
And now that Fifflefip is no longer on ground level, it seems like their availability of directions is actually not bad. It seems like they have a decent head about them. But you find yourself in the 10th precinct, standing outside of the doors of a building that should belong in Faerun, but has found its way here, being the Acquisitions Incorporated building. And Karn sets Fifflefip down, and Fifflefip, you see that on the door, this large door is comprised of 3 separate doors. It seems like there is one for tall folk, one for small folk, and one for the smallest yet. And Fifflefip goes up to the smallest yet door, opens it up, walks inside. You can hear some shuffling around. And then the door is, when the door is opened this time, you see that there was actually a 4th door that was built into it that is sized for creatures such as KRONK and Karn. And as it opens, you see that there is a halfling woman smoking out of a long pipe, but there is no flame with the pipe. And when she inhales and exhales, it smells almost like a cotton candy or like a fruity melon kind of thing.
Fucking vapors.
Yeah, she's vaping. And she says, and what is it that I can do for you fine folk today? And Karn looks down and says, I was told that you are providing assistance to my kind. And this halfling looks up. Well, I'm not exactly sure what your kind is, but you can call me Vi. And they extend their hand up, and Karn puts a large silvered finger down. They grab it and shake a little bit. Now, if I'm to take it correctly, are all of you together?
Sort of.
And Vi looks at you, Ghost, looks at you, KRONK. And then Hubris, is your hood and mask still on? Or have you, like, taken it off inside of this place?
He would have taken it off inside.
And Vi kind of looks you up and down. And then says, "It looks like all you are going to the war front. Or at least the camp."
Sorry, what?
Well, you're from where I'm from. Those of us who call it Faerun, others, well, from the south have called it but you all look like Sword Coast folks. Got that right?
Just about.
Well.
Oh, hell. Why'd we change clothes?
It's our races, KRONK.
A little bit of dialect also. Kind of bleeds through.
Hubris, please ask your question so we can leave.
I'm looking for a girl. Same race, same color tone as I am. Goes by, and he starts rattling off all of Virtue's aliases.
Well, I don't know anybody by that name. But if you're looking for people who aren't from round here, well, this fella seems like he's got the best idea of where to go. There's an old supply depot on the outside of where the Groll lands meet the Silesian Conclave. It's where people like him been holding up.
Fine.
I do hope you find your sister. And if you end up staying here for an extended period of time, well, we're always hiring. And Karn nods and, oh, and you found Fithel. Well, thank you very much. He's wanting to get lost around these parts. And you see that she picks up Fithelthib, who just sort of like gives her a small hug as best it can. It's sort of like shaking. It does not like being a courier. This is the worst job for Fithelthib. But he deals with it as best he can. So, with that, Vi explains that Acquisitions Incorporated has always been one for airships. And thankfully, with Karn's arrival, they have a crew who is ready to actually take you to this area where the Conclave meets the Stomping Grounds. And after some brief interactions as well, you are all then taken to this place and loaded up onto an airship with a human captain. What?
Sorry, I know we're trying to move things forward, but Dakka does not do airships.
No. Dakka is not wanting to be a part of this.
Yeah,
at all.
Does she know anything about Manchun, if I ask her?
Vi?
Yeah.
She says that she knows that he is one of the baddest wizards to ever face Faerun. Haven't heard that name since I got here, though. Why do you ask?
Because he was, unfortunately, instead of being killed, transferred here.
Well, why would anybody do that? What right-minded individual would send a wizard that powerful here?
One who didn't think very well.
Hubris is silent, but you can hear the grinding in his fist.
Well, if he was here, he's probably laying low. He's a sneaky type. It's kind of their MO. Now, I apologize, but I got some supplies that do need to get out. And that boat's not going to wait around.
Keep an eye out for him, if you don't mind.
I'll be
Hear
sure to
anything?
do so. big
Thank
old
you.
scary looking wizard. It's more common than you'd think. And at that, the group of you are taken to the ship. Dakka, as soon as you see that there's an airship involved, nope. Your tour of the city is ended. No longer interested.
Dunskies.
Hey, KRONK.
Hmm.
Do you mind going with Hubris? I'm not certain how long it'll take you, but I'd like to see more of the city.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna stick with Dakka, right? You're not going alone.
If that's all right with her.
Okay.
She just kind of gives you a head nod to follow her.
When should we expect you back?
And Vi says that the trip will be a few days.
Perfect. KRONK.
Yeah.
She's gonna like get up to him, and he knows to come down to her level. Remember what we talked about, please. Discretion, discretion, discretion.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell people about your tattoos. Don't tell anyone what they don't need to know.
Oh, my name is Jeb.
Solid. Make sure he doesn't die, please.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll put his head on your head just for a second.
And as you say that, KRONK, or KRONK, as you're acknowledging with Ghost, Karn is standing near the two of you and just says, you have my word, I will protect him.
Thank you.
And Karn just gives a gentle nod. This is the most well-mannered golem, as well as well-spoken golem that you have ever encountered.
Ghost just says to KRONK, I'll check in 2 days. Wait, it's going to take 2 days?
Several days is
Several
the
days, okay.
time frame that you were given.
She says, I'll check in every day. And she points to her head.
It's good. Thanks.
Okay. So, Hubris, you and KRONK end up boarding this airship with Karn. Dakka, you and Ghost are going to have a time learning about this city.
Girls'
And
night.
the airship takes off. And the crew members of this airship are a Loxodon, which is an elephant person that stands a good head shorter than you are, KRONK, but you can see that they are still quite sizable. There is a goblin that just seems to be the rig monkey, kind of going up and down the actual riggings of this ship much quicker and more capable than any of the other crew members. There is a blue-skinned individual who seems to be at the helm of the ship, speaking with the human captain. And when you all arrive, the human captain greets you all with a wide flourish and introduces themselves as Captain Sunder. And Hubris, this is so strange for you, because as this individual introduces themselves as Captain Sunder, this is a face that you've seen before. The face of this captain is that of the ringmaster from when you were a child.
You see Hubris take off the bottom part of his mask and look at the captain, and he just goes, Pops?
All is well. And then they point towards the sky, and there is the of the hot air rising through the balloon, and the ship ends up taking off. The Dalkin. So, it is at that point that the other crew members introduce themselves as well. The Vidalcan.
Did we do that? It's 11:40.
I know.
Okay, I was
We're
just making
getting
sure.
there. So, the Vidalcan's name is Caven, the Loxodon's name is Zissy, and the Goblin's name is... God, why did we give them such a hard name? Dipsawix. And you can tell Loxodon is female, the Vidalcan is a male, and the Goblin is a goblin. And as you say, Pops, this figure doesn't seem to take note of the phrase at all. And when you try and speak with them, they're always in the middle of doing something, but you catch them looking at you through a side eye every once in a while. And as the night ends up going on, Sunder actually invites you, Hubris, and asks, well, would you care for a drink? You seem a little out of place. Your tall friend, the big one, they seem quite handy to have around. And the silver one, out-of-towners?
Out-of-towners.
I see. Well, would you care for a drink?
Sure.
And as you go into the captain's quarters with them, they pour you a glass and then pour themselves a glass. And they stand and are looking out the back window of the airship, watching the ground pass beneath them. And they say, so, who sent you?
What?
Was it Demir? I mean, we can play this game all day. Who sent you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
And they turn, and you hear the sound of a dagger sinking into the wood next to your head, and you see an infernal written along the side of the dagger. It says, Maladomini.
Does that name mean anything to me?
Make a history check.
I put my dice away. God fucking damn it. 19.
You recognize Maladomini to be one of the layers of hell. Specifically the 7th layer.
In response to the dagger thumping, he whips out the arcane focus. I don't know what you're talking about.
And
he's pointing it at the captain.
And the captain says, what was her name? And their voice is shaking. What was your mother's name? And you see them reaching in, and they pull out, and it looks like 4 daggers in each of their hands. And reading along, you can see written on each of these daggers: Avernus, Dis, Menoros, Felgethos, Stygia, Malbolg, Cania, and Nessus.
Did we say Eurydices?
I believe so.
Yeah. Eurydices.
Another dagger enters into the wood beside you. Say something only you would know.
When I was younger, I came to your circus, and you were chased by someone, and in the midst of it, you pointed this at your throat, and you said, keep it safe. Then you shot yourself and disappeared.
And the head of this individual drops, and you can hear a shuddered breathing as the clattering of knives drops onto the floor. And as the knives drop onto the floor, that is not the only thing that drops. You see this individual with their captain's garb. Their form begins to fade. You see their human skin turn into a papered white. You see that the hat above their head shifts, revealing a set of horns underneath. You see that there are scales of opalescent color down their jaw and their neck. And looking up at you is your sister.
Ulysses.
And that is where we are going to end it for tonight's session. So, I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stop on by and join us for this wonderful indoor adventure in Waterdeep War of the Spark. This is why I wanted you fuckers to get to Acquisitions Incorporated! But that's neither here nor there. We all have a good time. We're friends here. Hey, RJ, where can we find you? What do you do?
Pass.
Hey, GB, where can we find you? What do you do?
I'm Greybeard of Greybeard's Tavern, and you can find me on the tweets there at Greybeard Tavern. And I'm not going to go into everything I do because, you know, it's a long list. But one thing, you can catch me tomorrow back here for Monster Noir, a game I wrote at 1 in the morning to play the next day. So we'll be doing that tomorrow at 8:30.
Hey everybody, I'm RJ here on the channel, but you can catch me at RJustice282 on Twitter and Twitch, where I tweet about the nerdy things in my life. I play games.
Indoor, of all the times that you should have railroaded me, I thought we were splitting the party. I thought Dakka was staying back because we were doing things. It's fine. I play on a lot of games. Mondays and Tuesdays here. Friday, I'm going to be on Dan Barry's channel. Sunday, I'm going to be on G Game Nights. Stuff.
Hey everybody, I'm Danae Keener. You can find me at DanaeKeener.com. You can find me here on Mondays playing as Coriander the Elegant Paladin, or on Tuesdays as Virtue. And I'm also going to be in that Monster Noir game tomorrow, so tune in for that. It's always a good time. DanaeKeener.com.
And if you have made it this far, you probably know who I am. But if you don't, hey fella, what's up? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures. We do shows like this Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have our Monday homebrew campaign. We got Tuesdays, which is Waterdeep War of the Spark, which I love this game so much. And on Thursdays, we have our Ghosts of Saltmarsh game. So tune in to any of those. If you were unable to tune in until most recently, consider going to our YouTube channel where we upload all of our VODs, or find us wherever podcasts are available for free. Right now, we are going to be going into our Patreon-supported podcast called Nights in the Courtyard, so consider going to our Patreon, supporting us there. It is a good time. And that's it for our show. So before we head out, I would like to say once again, thank you to these players for putting up with my bullshit once again this week, and thank you to everybody who decided to stop by and join us for this wonderful excursion. We are going to be back next week, and I hope to see each and every single one of you there. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.
I quit.